This is Epic Book Recaps, a podcast that offers complimentary audio summaries of influential nonfiction books, making learning a smarter experience. What If? Serious scientific answers to absurd hypothetical questions by Randall Munroe. Discovering significance and clarity in seemingly absurd and baffling queries. Have you ever found your mind wandering to peculiar realms, imagining living on an asteroid like the charming protagonist in The Little Prince? Or perhaps you've pondered over the cataclysmic consequences if our planet, Earth, were to suddenly cease its constant spin. Or even speculated about the enormous number of Lego blocks it would take to construct an architectural marvel of a bridge connecting London to New York. What about experiencing the longest possible sunset, stretching the magical twilight moment to an eternity? If you find yourself shaking your head in denial, there's absolutely no cause for astonishment. These queries are far from practical, bordering on the ludicrous. However, they carry an intriguing attribute. They are undeniably entertaining. During our innocent childhood, we are brimming with such unusual questions. Some of these queries aid our learning about the world's functioning, like understanding the consequences of pushing a glass off a table. Others are incredibly abstract and seemingly pointless, like wondering about the taste of clouds. Regrettably, adults often discourage children from posing such abstract questions. These inquiries are perplexing, seemingly pointless, and many believe there aren't any answers to them. However, the mantra of "don't die curious" is an admirable motto to abide by. Contrary to popular belief, even the most ridiculous questions have answers if you know where to search for them. The key lies in embracing the "what if" mindset. NASA physicist turned comic creator Randall Munroe has always embraced the unconventional, contemplating the hypothetical since his early years. Eventually, he developed a platform where people could submit their abstract queries, where he takes on the challenge of uncovering their answers. Engaging in such thought exercises is beneficial, as this mode of thinking stimulates creativity and sparks innovative ideas. Besides, it injects a dose of fun and excitement into life, which often gets bogged down in mundane conversations about taxes and mundane daily life. So, buckle up and prepare for a thrilling journey into the bewildering and confusing realm of hypothetical questions that seemingly lack any practical use. Pondering the aftermath of Earth's cease of rotation and the elusiveness of true love. Let's embark on this curious journey with a baffling question. What would be the fallout if everything on Earth stopped spinning in unison with it? The only stipulation is that the velocity of the atmosphere remains unaltered. The short response is, nothing would survive. The most evident result of this scenario would be the emergence of a ferocious supersonic wind. We're envisaging a wind speed reaching a staggering 1,000 miles per hour. This windstorm would persist for only a few minutes, but it would lead to the complete destruction of all infrastructures. There would be a potential survival tactic, though, as the wind wouldn't be able to crush you if you sought refuge in a subway tunnel. However, this safety would be short-lived, succeeded by a scorching heat blast. The weather would go berserk. Wind, spray, fog, and extreme temperature changes would engulf the entire planet. The day-night cycle would extend to a year, with day and night each lasting 6 months, characterized by sweltering temperatures during the day and frigid cold during the night. The moon would initiate a desperate attempt to save the Earth by drifting towards it. In reality, the moon, our loyal celestial companion, would strive to rectify the damage. Tilda Randall Munroe. The gravitational pull exerted by the moon would tug at the Earth and, miraculously, initiate its spin once again. Now let's consider a different scenario. What if everyone was assigned just one soulmate at random? While it may sound profoundly romantic, the experience would be dreadful in reality. Consider this hypothetical situation. At birth, you are assigned a soulmate. You are oblivious to their existence until you meet them, at which point you instantly recognize them as your destined partner. A plot that might make for an engaging romantic comedy can be quite horrific in reality. The real question is, would such an encounter even take place? If individuals were matched arbitrarily, 90% of soulmates would have passed away long before the meeting. The calculation becomes even more disheartening when we factor in individuals from the past and those yet to be born. Even if soulmates existed within a single time frame, we would still need to sift through approximately 500 million people to find them. This figure is based on the no creepiness rule, which stipulates that you and your soulmate must fall within an appropriate age gap to date each other. The probabilities of encountering true love, therefore, would be extremely slim. Thus, the answer to the question is definitive. The world would be a miserable place. Exploring life on an asteroid and contemplating a grand Lego project. Recollect the enchanting tale of the Little Prince, a young boy who embarks on a cosmic journey and resides on an asteroid. Ever wondered what life would be like in his shoes, living on an asteroid? For this thought experiment, let's consider asteroids as they are depicted in The Little Prince, miniature planets equipped with an atmosphere. To get started, if this celestial body had a radius of approximately 1.75 inches, it would need to be extraordinarily dense, weighing around 500 million tons. This mass would generate sufficient gravitational pull to keep you grounded on the asteroid. While residing on an asteroid, you would often experience a mild stretching sensation as your head would be lighter than your feet due to the difference in gravitational pull. Another important factor to consider is the escape velocity, which is the minimum speed required to break free from the gravitational pull. The escape velocity on an asteroid would be 5 meters per second, a stark contrast to the Earth's escape velocity of 11 kilometers per second. This implies that you could escape the asteroid simply by running horizontally or by jumping off a ramp with enough momentum. It's a fascinating thought to envision breaking free from the gravitational pull of your home planet. If you weren't able to achieve sufficient speed, you would find yourself in orbit. This bizarre experience would involve your arm reaching towards the planet, pulling you at a faster rate than the rest of your body. If any large object entered orbit, such as the moon, it would fragment into rings. Therefore, if you wish to remain on your asteroid, refrain from running too fast. As for those residing on our super-dense asteroid, they'd need to exhibit caution. Running too fast might put them at risk of entering orbit and losing their lunch. Randall Munroe. To add a fun fact, The Little Prince was penned in 1941, at a time when we didn't have a comprehensive understanding of asteroids. The term asteroid translates to star-like, as even the most potent telescopes could only identify a pinpoint of light where an asteroid was located. It was only in 1971 that we discovered the actual appearance of real asteroids. Now moving on to a grand architectural project. Have you ever harbored the desire to journey straight from London to New York, not by plane but via a bridge? This dream could possibly be realized with the assistance of an enormous quantity of Lego. Can a bridge built entirely of Legos connect London and New York? If so, how many Lego blocks would it require? Do we currently have sufficient resources to undertake such a mammoth task? Firstly, constructing a connection between London and New York would necessitate approximately 350 million Lego parts, stacking them like bricks. However, this number falls drastically short of creating a structure robust enough to withstand any significant weight. But it's a start. Now let's estimate the total number of Lego blocks currently in existence. Since its inception, Lego has produced over 400 billion pieces. To build our bridge, we would likely employ the most commonly used 2x4 pieces, around 5 to 10 billion. How could we make this bridge sturdy enough to withstand the pressure of vehicles? One possible solution could be to design it to float on the ocean surface. Lego bricks don't form a watertight seal and are denser than water, but this could be mitigated by coating the bridge with a sealant. The bridge would need to be 1 meter thick and 5 meters wide to stay afloat and support vehicles. Unfortunately, there aren't enough bricks in the world to accomplish this. Furthermore, how do we navigate the challenges posed by the ocean? The ocean is not a serene place. The bridge would be continually subjected to the pressures of currents and wind. We could anchor it to the ocean floor to enhance its stability, but this brings another obstacle into play: waves. The bridge would need to tower at least 4 meters above the water surface to avoid being impacted by crashing waves. In reality, the bridge would be highly unstable. There are a few other issues associated with the ocean floor. To construct a sturdy structure, a causeway would need to be built, connecting the Legos to the ocean floor. However, this would interfere with the North Atlantic Ocean circulation, leading to detrimental effects on the area's flora and fauna. While planning new constructions, it's critical to consider the impact on the original inhabitants, local wildlife. Finally, let's address the financial aspect. The bridge would cost an astronomical amount of approximately $5 trillion. With this budget, we could transport all the real estate from London to New York. While some ideas may be theoretically feasible, they may not necessarily translate into a practical reality. Savoring the sunset and contemplating a world without sunlight. Have you ever been spellbound by a sunset so mesmerizing that you wished you could make the moment last forever? Ever wondered about the longest sunset you could experience while cruising in a car? There are 2 conditions to this query. The first one is self-explanatory. You must adhere to the speed limit. The second condition is that your journey must be on paved roads. Firstly, we need to determine what constitutes a sunset. There is only one acceptable definition. A sunset begins when the sun touches the horizon and concludes when it is entirely obscured. Therefore, if the sun is blocked by any obstacle like a hill, it doesn't count as a sunset. If this were the case, we could simply hide from the sun behind any object and deem it a sunset. To witness the longest sunset, one would need to venture as close as possible to the South or North Pole. The closest paved road to either pole is situated in Norway, on the island of Svalbard, in a town named Longyearbyen. The sunset here lasts almost an hour. Interestingly, you wouldn't even need to drive a car to witness it. However, driving would certainly extend its duration. There's another trick we can employ to prolong the sunset: spinning counterclockwise. While the effect might not be overly significant, the experience would be nothing short of extraordinary, especially in the company of loved ones. Even a simple act like spinning can extend something as grand as a sunset. While on the topic of celestial bodies, let's contemplate what would transpire if the sun suddenly ceased to shine. The scenario presents several upsides. For instance, solar flares would decrease, leading to an improvement in satellite services due to the absence of solar disruptions. Astronomy would also benefit as observations could be conducted around the clock. The disappearance of time zones would reduce trading costs. Infrastructure expenses would also decrease as bridges would become obsolete. Our oceans would freeze over, becoming as hard as concrete. But what are the downsides to the sun turning off? Well, the most glaringly obvious one is that we would all perish. Contemplating extreme earthquakes. You are probably familiar with the Richter scale, which measures the intensity of earthquakes. The scale typically ranges from 1 to 10, with 1 indicating a mild tremor and 10 representing catastrophic disasters. However, this does not rule out the possibility of more extreme earthquakes. With this in mind, have you ever contemplated the aftermath if a location like New York City were to be struck by a Richter scale 15 or even 20 earthquake? Massive earthquakes have a profound impact on Earth, altering its rotation. 2 earthquakes with a magnitude of 9 have slightly increased the length of a day. This might seem insignificant, but think about it. A natural force has the power to manipulate time. An earthquake with a magnitude of 15 would equate to the Earth's entire gravitational binding energy. An earthquake of even greater magnitude wouldn't differ significantly, the only difference being the temperature of the debris cloud. However, the Sun could potentially experience a magnitude 20 earthquake, and the energy released would be as powerful as packing the entire Earth with hydrogen bombs and detonating them simultaneously. Even when considering hypothetical situations, it's beneficial to define clear parameters. The consequences of enormous earthquakes are apparent, but what about the opposite end of the scale? Is there such a thing as a magnitude 0 earthquake? Yes, indeed. A magnitude 0 earthquake would occur if the Dallas Cowboys charged full speed into the wall of a neighboring garage. A magnitude -1 earthquake would necessitate only a single player running into a tree. A cat toppling off a table would result in a magnitude -2 earthquake. However, kindly refrain from intentionally pushing them off. In retaliation, a cat could knock your phone off the table, causing a magnitude -3 earthquake. A feather gently landing on the ground would generate a -7 earthquake. A magnitude -8 earthquake would be caused by a grain of sand falling onto the pile in an hourglass. Finally, a speck of dust would result in a magnitude -15 earthquake. As you can see, not all hypothetical questions need to revolve around world destruction. Seemingly absurd and nonsensical inquiries often conceal a wealth of amusement. There's no need to always aim for utility while posing questions. Hypothetical ruminations about absurdities foster an inquisitive mindset and inspire creativity. They encourage us to think outside the confines of the ordinary and unearth wonders in the most unexpected places. Now you're well versed in the catastrophic events that would unfold if the Earth were to stop spinning. You also understand the unwavering loyalty of Earth's closest ally, the Moon, which would make a valiant attempt to save it from annihilation. If you've ever ruminated over the realistic odds of finding your one true soulmate, you'd now agree that this concept is best relegated to the realm of romantic comedies. A world devoid of love is not a world anyone would wish to inhabit. You can now visualize yourself in the shoes of the little prince with greater clarity. Just bear in mind the specific dynamics of running and jumping on an asteroid. Despite the meticulous planning and considerable expenditure required for a Lego bridge, the outcome of such an ambitious project is rather disappointing. Lastly, we now understand that the longest sunset experienced in a car unfolds in the serene landscapes of Norway. You're also privy to a quirky trick to extend its duration using nothing more than the sheer power of your own body. Chasing the sun is far more exhilarating than extinguishing it. While the benefits may seem appealing, they would ultimately lead to the destruction of life on Earth. A challenge for the curious mind. Try to conceive the most absurd question possible. Make an attempt to find its answer on your own. If your efforts prove fruitless, submit your question to Randall Munroe. Who knows? You might receive an answer. You'll never know until you try.